I'm conflicted about this because when I got into satire, it was in the beginning, it was exclusively writing, and I used to write on my blog these long pieces. But then I realized with the nature of social media and how things were moving, sometimes you kind of need to move really fast when people are talking about something. So sometimes you can have bigger effect if you just do a quick image or a meme or a Photoshop or a cartoon. And it depends also on what you're trying to say, and that was kind of suited the medium more. And I think there's levels in it like anything. So some people tend to kind of do very silly stuff, and I do that myself often, but you can see some really thoughtful things in there as well. I mean, I think there's no point in resisting it because this is the nature, the multimedia nature of the world that we live in, and particularly the nature of satire today. But I think as with everything, you have to be thoughtful about it and then think about what's the best way of achieving the impact that you're trying to achieve. Transposing one context onto another has a lot of comedic potential. But I was in particular, when I started writing, a lot of it was kind of complaining about how the Middle East get represented in Western media and Western policy circles. But it came a bit across as a bit whiny and sort of, as if we're begging for attention. And then when I sort of started hitting on the Occidentalist style, I realized it was very empowering because all of a sudden I could put myself in a position of someone who's lecturing the West. And sometimes I used to pretend that I'm an anthropologist who came to the West to try to live with the natives and understand them. And I did it in a very patronizing way. And I think the effectiveness of that style for me is it allows me to say what I want to say, but in a very empowered manner, in a kind of even patronizing manner. So I sounded less whiny, and that's why I like it. Anti-jokes. So it's basically, three post-structuralists walk into a bar, but there is no punchline because there's no resolution in real life and things like that. There were kind of like experiments in anti-jokes, as in kind of quite intellectual, over-elaborate, and I started doing different tests on them until one day I think on hit the one bar joke of maybe over 100 that I tried that I think really worked. And you have to be familiar with the Arab context to get it, and being the Middle East Centre you would. And it was, so Kulthum walks into a bar, walks into a bar, walks into a bar, walks into a bar. And I think that completely unlocked the format for me, and it became my instant favorite joke of all time. I was doing my master's at the LSE very, very long time ago with Richard Sennett, who's one of the most renowned sociologists in the world today. And we were doing a project in a kind of deprived area in London, and we were supposed to do some historical research about it. And for reasons that I don't quite understand myself, I decided to come up with a completely fake history for that area and present it as research in the class, in the attendance of this renowned professor of sociology and great writer. And I faked a lot of documents, including dictionary entries, and claimed that this area, which was a site for the Ministry of Defense, the soldiers used to kidnap the locals and then hunt them. And it was quite a bleak, dreary story. And I wanted to present it during class as a commentary on the nature of how we collect knowledge and how we kind of trust the tools of production of knowledge. And I thought I'll finish it and then I'll say that it was all a lie and we can discuss that. And then as I was presenting, I realized it was having quite an impact on people. I mean, some people were really shocked with it. And I came to the end, and then the session ended, and we never got to have the question and answer period. And I had just come up with this completely elaborate, made-up story. And the session ended, and everybody left, and nobody ever knew that that was a lie. Afterwards, and especially the professor, and afterwards in the days that followed, some of my classmates started having doubts, and they would come up to me and ask me, was that real, was not real? And I never gave it away. And I think it was both funny, it was tragic, and I think more importantly, I think in a way it got me interested in this whole alternative reality, and what kind of enabled me to start more satirical works later on. Very hard one for me because I like cheese a lot and it's very difficult to choose, but I think if you forced me to choose, I'd probably go for halloumi.